How's it going, guys? Ludin is here, and today I'll be showing you how you can import a custom mesh into Tekken 7. So, before we get started, I'll leave a link to Dennis's blog in the description, so you can actually follow with me. I'm going to be actually following this tutorial. So, the actual tutorial is split into two parts, okay? This is the first part, and I won't be covering this part, and this is the second part, okay? I'll be assuming that you guys already went through this and you downloaded the custom Unreal Engine 4 build and everything. So I'll be walking you through this. So I already have it open over here, and I'll be trying to create captions based on these contents. So if you're having trouble with a specific step here, you can actually go to the video and check yourself. Now, I won't be doing stuff exactly the way they're written here in the tutorial, because Dennis here added clothing to an already existing character, and what I'll be doing, I'll be actually replacing Yoshimitsu's tuxedo completely with this guy, which is Genji. So I'll be replacing the tuxedo for Yoshi with the custom mesh, which is this one, okay? So yeah, so let's get started, shall we? Oh, and one more thing before we begin. I won't be covering this part, which is making the mesh colorable in game. So I won't be doing any hex editing whatsoever, okay? So make sure that you download these guys, and I'll add a few stuff in the downloads too, just in case, so you can download everything from the very start and not like pause the video and download stuff. So make sure that you download these 5. We won't be needing hex editor because we won't be doing this step, which is making the mesh colorable in game. And I'll be using Blender 2.91 in case you guys were wondering. So make sure that you download these guys, and I'll be adding a few more downloads to these. So go to this website, download these 5, and download the stuff that I'll have in the description, okay? Anyway, so let's get started, shall we? So first things first, you're gonna have to export. In my case, I'll be exporting the tuxedo, okay, for Yoshimitsu specifically. So I'll be going here, and before I do anything, just let me delete this really quick because I exported this before. Anyway, because I want to repeat everything, do the same thing with you guys, start fresh. So I'm gonna grab this over here. Where did it go? It's over here. Okay, so I'm gonna have to paste the directory where I have my Tekken installed, which is something like it's going to be something like Steam apps, common, Tekken 7. Wherever you have this exe file installed, copy the address and paste it over here. Make sure that override game detection is checked and change this to Unreal Engine 4, and then go scroll to the very bottom. Well, almost at the very bottom, you can see this is Tekken 7. I'm gonna manually select it. So I don't recall changing anything here. So, but anyway, make sure that these guys are checked. These are left unchecked, and both these settings are set to auto. Excuse me. Okay, so press OK. So now that we have this open and ready, you're gonna go to all packages. Of course, you're always gonna be in this directory. Go to game and go to character, item, meshes. Okay, are you following where I went so far? So I went game, character, item, meshes. I'm gonna try to explain stuff in a bit of detail. So if I'm going too slow, feel free to skip ahead. But yeah, I'm gonna be trying to go as hopefully I'm not going too fast, but yeah, I'm gonna try to explain stuff as much as I can. Anyway, so you're gonna find a bunch of stuff here in the meshes directory, okay? And they're full of 3-letter files, so each file stands for different character. AKI stands for Armor King, I believe, and so forth. I think you're gonna have to check the Discord tutorials. There's a link for the abbreviation for the character you're looking for. But some of them are quite obvious. So this is obviously for Bob. This, I think, is for Asuka. This is for Alyssa. I think this is Jane. Anyway, so Yoshi is actually this file, okay? But because I'm grabbing his tuxedo, it's actually an item that's shared with the rest of the males. So it's going to be in this common file, okay, CMN. And I expand that, I'm going to go to full body, and I think it's called Hig Uncle. So yeah, it's this one, okay? Expand that, go to meshes, and scroll down at the very bottom, you're going to find a bunch of SK files, okay? The SK files are the files that contain, they're actually UACID files, but I mean that they start with SK. So these UACID files that start with SK are actually mesh files. And I'm going to be going to the very bottom, which is, you can see YOS here, which stands for Yoshi. Open this up just to show you guys. So yeah, this is Yoshi's hands. And so I know that in the tutorial, Dennis actually presses M and views the material, okay? But I'm not going to be doing that because, I mean, I pressed M just now to view the materials, my materials over here. But I won't be actually reusing any of these materials because I'll be completely replacing them with whatever Genji has. Okay? I won't be reusing anything from the tuxedo. Dennis did that, oops, excuse me. Dennis did that because he had to reuse some of the stuff for Master Raven, which is, I believe, the arms, stuff like that. Because he was only changing, he was only adding, a costume to her actual skin, So he had to reuse some of the materials here. MIs stands for material instances. So he had to reuse some of these MIs. Not going to be reusing anything. So I have that clear. I'm going to press O to open up this menu again. And then make sure that I click on the file for Yoshi. And then click on export, okay? I'll be exporting this. So take note of where you're going to export this file. Make sure that all of these guys are unchecked. You don't really care whether these are checked or unchecked. Actually, leave those unchecked. Oops. You're going to keep this as PNG, okay? And make sure that skeletal mesh is set to, both skeletal and static meshes, actually, are set to gITF 2.0, okay? And the texture format is in PNG, of course. So click OK, once you made sure that everything is correct. So we can actually close this. We don't need this anymore. I'm going to minimize this. So I'm going to go to my export file. This is actually what the umodel just exported. You can ignore all these files. These are previous stuff that I exported with umodel, okay? So this is actually what I recently exported. I'm going to go to game, character, item, and then go to meshes, common, full body, this Hig Uncle thing, and then go to meshes. You see this gITF file? This is actually the file that I'll be importing into Blender, okay? So I'll keep this open for now. I'm gonna actually copy the address for this thing, okay? So before you start Blender, you're gonna actually have to, I have two versions, oops. I have two versions of Blender, but you don't really care about, I'm gonna be using, the 2.991 version basically. So I'm going to right click on the shortcut and go to where I have it installed. So I clicked on open file location. I have it installed in something, Steam Apps, Common, Blender. I'm going to go to 2.91, my version, and then go to scripts, go to add-ons, go to IOC and FBX, should be somewhere around here, yep, it is. And then go to export FBX_bin, okay? This is a Python file. So in order to open it, you can actually open it with the regular Notepad, but I'm going to be using Notepad++ because it's a bit more convenient for, code and Python scripts and, stuff like that. So I'm going to be opening up opening it up with Notepad++. I'm gonna drag it over here. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna open the tutorial, and so you're gonna have to copy this line, okay? And we're gonna have to search it here, okay? So I'm gonna be searching for it by clicking Control F to open up the search menu, paste this line, and click on Find Next. There's only one line that has that exact same, statement, so you don't need to worry about finding duplicates. So if you found it, you'll probably notice that you don't have this hashtag, character. Make sure that you add that before, this elif, else-if statement. And add that to actually the empty key, the line that's actually underneath it, okay? And add that to the line underneath it. Okay, I know that it doesn't look like this is directly underneath this thing because we have this line, at least from my viewport, but it's because Notepad actually wraps things to, yeah, you see what I mean? There are actually 3 separate lines, and you're gonna have to add it to each of these guys. Add it before the connections that append, and this empty underscore key, and add it here. This is the line that we should search for. Make sure that you add these 3 hashtag characters. Okay, so I'm gonna actually close this. You make sure that you save it, by the way, when you close it. I already have mine saved, so I'm good to go. I can actually run Blender now. So wait for it to load up. Then you'll notice that when it's your first time, actually let me do something first. So you don't have to do this. I just did this because now you can actually see what I'm pressing in Blender over here, okay? So when you actually first start Blender, you're gonna probably see something that looks like this, a cube in the middle of the scene, and a bunch of other things like a light or something. I don't know, you get the point. So you're gonna find a bunch of stuff here, probably 3 things. So we want to delete everything in this scene. So we can do that by clicking A to select everything, okay? And then click on delete. You can make sure that there should be nothing here, okay? This should be white clean, except for, the scene collection. But if you can't see that, you don't need to worry either. It's not a big thing. If you don't see it, you don't have to worry. But, if you see it, make sure that nothing else is there, okay? Anyway, so go to, this is called the properties window, okay? So you're gonna navigate to the scene properties tab, which is this one, okay? And change the unit scale to 0.01, like I have over here, okay? Change this to 0.01, and change the length into centimeters, okay? And that's pretty much it. You have Blender ready for Tekken 7 modding. Once you've just deleted everything from the scene, and you change the unit scale to 0.01, and the length into centimeters. Now, because I really don't want to repeat these steps every time I start up Blender, I can actually go to File and scroll down to Defaults and click on Save Startup. Now, Blender is gonna ask me to confirm this. Now, make sure that you click this again, Save Startup File. So now we actually have our startup file saved and ready for Tekken 7 modding. So every time I go click on File and go, New, General, I'm not going to save this, we actually have our settings ready, for Tekken 7. Anyway, because I opened up a new file, I have to start this thing again so you guys can see what I'm pressing. Right, awesome. So right now I'll be importing the gITF file that I exported. Okay, I have 2 instances of Blender open. I just need one. Okay, so I'm gonna do that by dragging this guy over here, and I'm gonna go to whatever I have the gITF file exported. Okay, I'm gonna copy the address. I know I copied it earlier, but I forgot about a certain step. So I'm gonna go to File, okay, Import, then click on gITF 2.0, okay, then paste this address that I copied over here at the very top. Now I can only see one file, which is the gITF file that I'm interested in. I'm gonna double click on that, and you should see something pop. Yes, so you're gonna see this thing pop in here. So click on numpad 0 to kind of zoom in. Oops, let me actually, okay. Make sure that you select this first, okay, by pressing on this thing. Then click on numpad 0. Yeah, now you can see that got this tiny sort of, you know, tuxedo thing, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. First things first, so it might not be necessary, okay? But here in the tutorial, actually, you scale things up, okay? So I'm gonna be following this, okay? But I might actually have to scale this back down. But we can't really determine how good the scale of our model is from Blender alone. We can only figure that out when we actually run the Unreal Editor. I'm just gonna click on it just because it takes a while to load, but I'm gonna wait for it to load and just keep it there. We're still gonna work in Blender, okay? We have to finish this first. But I just want to have the Unreal Engine ready whenever I finish Blender, so I can immediately open the Unreal Engine project, okay? Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to select the armature, okay? This thing, okay? And if you're not seeing this, you might be seeing it, it might look different in your viewport. You might be seeing it something like this, or, you know, whatever. So it's actually here in the Stickman tab. You're going to go to viewport display and you can change it to whatever view you like. I'm going to keep it on in octahedral, and you can actually check this and you'll be able to see the bones through the mesh, okay? Sort of X-ray view, you know. Anyway, but it looks hideous, to be honest. You can't really see the bones of the hand, you know, of the arm, basically. And yeah, anyway, I'll be doing a few steps later for that, but I'm gonna be actually importing my custom mesh, okay? So I'm gonna go, because it's an XPS file, I'm gonna go here, and then I'm gonna, if you don't have this, you can scroll to a certain part of the video where it says import XPS files, or sorry, install the import XPS add-on. I'm gonna have it annotated in the description, okay? So it'll be somewhere around the end of the video, and I'll actually walk you through how to install this thing, okay? If you don't have it. And if you're working with a custom mesh that has these types of extensions, okay? So if you're working with something with .ascii, .mesh, .xps, you're gonna need to install this add-on. If you don't have it, don't worry. Skip. Take note of where you are right now in terms of the video, and then skip forward to where I have this thing installed, okay? Anyway, so because I already have that, and I know my custom mesh is in .mesh format, actually. I have it over here, yes, it's in .mesh. So I'm going to be using this to import it. Okay, so actually before I imported this, I have it imported, but I want to do something first, okay? I'm going to scale it exactly the way Dennis did in this tutorial, okay? I'm going to scale it, even though I might not need to, but I'm going to scale it just to show you guys what to do if this turned out to be too big, and how to figure it out in the Unreal Engine. So I'm going to scale this to 100. Yeah, you can go to the scale by going to this tab, okay? Object properties. Or you can alternatively press on N to open up this menu, go to item, and you can scale stuff here too. It's the same thing, pretty much. Anyway, I'm not going to need that. I'm going to go here, go change the Y to 100 and the Z to 100 too. So yeah, now it's huge. I'm going to click on numpad 0 to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so far so good. Now before I do anything, I'm going to click on Control A to apply scales, okay? you're gonna have to revert these back to 1, but you don't want to scale it down, okay? So I'll show you what I mean. Make sure that you have the armature selected, okay? This is the armature, okay? This is the mesh. This is the armature. I'm gonna make sure that I have the armature selected. Hit Control, press on Control and A to apply and click on all transforms. You have to see those reverted back to 1. And you won't actually be, this actually will still maintain its scale, okay? You didn't really shrink it. That's the point. You just applied the scale and made it the default scale, okay? Anyway, so make sure that you do the same to your mesh by selecting the mesh. This, you see, this is 100. This should be set back to 1, so I'm going to click Control A, all transforms, okay? This should be set back to 1, okay? Okay, otherwise, if this was 100, then your mesh will be super tiny. You know, basically, the scale will only be applied within Blender. It won't be applied outside in Unreal Engine or inside your actual game, okay? So by reverting these back to 1, you're actually applying the scales. Okay, that's why here it says apply when you press Control A. Anyway, I already applied my scales, so yeah, I'm pretty much done with this. Now I can actually import my XPS mesh again. I'm gonna import it. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm only interested in the armature, okay? Because my armature has the meshes inside. These triangle shaped things are the meshes, by the way. So if you expand this, this is our original armature, okay? We really don't want to change this as much. At least my approach is I don't touch the original armature, except by scaling it. I don't play around with it in any way. So if you click on this arrow over here, you can see that this is actually your tuxedo, and you can hide it. If you don't see this eye, you can actually click on this funnel thing and make sure that this eye is selected, okay? So yeah, you can hide the original mesh. I just wanted to show you in case you guys completely new to Blender. Anyway, I'm gonna be deleting this. I don't really need this. Make sure that you delete this specifically, not the hierarchy, okay? I'm gonna delete this. I still have the armature, but I can't see it, okay? It's super tiny. This is my custom mesh. I'm gonna press on this to scale it up and drag the mouse a little bit until I actually see things, okay? I don't see things. Okay, for some reason. Okay, now I actually started seeing it. Awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna scale this properly so it actually aligns a little bit with my mesh. I'm gonna leave, we're gonna use this just for reference, by the way. We're gonna delete the original tuxedo mesh from, you know, from here basically. And after scaling this, I'm gonna move this a little bit forward. Okay. I think, okay, so I'm gonna hide the armature, the original armature, because I don't want to see it. This is, by the way, I was selecting the armature for, excuse me, for this thing. Okay, it looks like these thick bones. I scaled it up to 1000. I'm gonna apply the scales in a second, but I just want to make sure that I also position it properly. So these two should be 0, by the way, for things to work actually, not just these. Okay, so I'm aligning it right now, sure that it's okay, at least okay-ish for the purposes of this tutorial. Anyway, so I'm gonna be applying everything, okay? Make sure that I have my custom armature selected, click Control A, and select all transforms. Now this should be set back to 1, and these should be back to 0. Awesome. So this isn't T-posed, and that's unfortunate. It might not be the same for your case, but here in my case, I'm gonna have to T-pose it manually. So I'm gonna go to, I went to pose mode, okay? I had my armature, custom armature selected, and I went to pose mode, and then I'm gonna click search for the shoulder bone. It might not be named the same in your case, but you know, try to look for the bone does this. Okay, I might need to expand this a little bit, make it wider. So I'm just gonna move this similar way, kind of align it. It's not gonna be super aligned, but yeah, I just want to show you the general idea, okay? Anyway, and I'm not gonna even bother with aligning the fingers, okay? If you really want to be so specific, I can show you what you're going to have to do later, okay? But so I'm gonna be adjusting the legs too, because this guy has his legs wider, so I'm gonna rotate this until it's kind of aligned with the shoes down here. Okay, looks good, I believe. I think it's okay. Maybe move it forward a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna also rotate this guy in a similar fashion. Move it a little bit forward, maybe like this. Looks okay-ish. Okay, so far so good. So, but we just have to kind of scale this and make it wider. So we actually have our scales already applied. I'm gonna have to make sure that I apply the scales here too. Okay, to my custom mesh. It was 1000 here. Actually, you have to do that before doing any pausing. You know, trying to pose your mesh into the T-pose, or changing the pose. So I'm gonna be, instead of just, I'm gonna be actually scaling this in pose mode. Yeah, so the elbows isn't exactly aligned with this joint, but anyway, it should do. It's not something that's perfect, but it should do. Scale it, then press X. Go here. Yeah, okay. I pressed X so that it scales only in one direction. That's now, it's not properly aligned, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter actually, because if you want it to be perfect, you're gonna have to align these fingers exactly with these, dark, whatever, purple fingers. Okay, you're gonna have them aligned exactly, and the same goes for the bones. You're gonna have to scale them and align them and make sure the elbow is actually aligned with the elbow of your. Let me show you what you actually do if you really want to perfect this. So let me go and unhide the original armature. Okay, I'm gonna be duplicating this. I'm gonna be pressing on the mouse button. Okay, to kind of drag it into just one axis. Okay, lock it into one axis. So here's what you're going to do. One of the files that you downloaded is actually my script. Okay, something that I wrote for the Tekken armatures. I want to clean this to make it look a bit more natural, and to make it easier for Blender to do auto weight painting. Okay. If you don't understand what auto weight painting is, just give me a second. I'll explain. So I'm gonna be going to where I have my file. It should be called auto weight. Yeah, auto weight armature gen v3. So have that file ready. I believe you already downloaded it. Go to the scripting tab in Blender. Okay, so you're gonna have a bunch of tabs in the top here. Go to scripting tab, and then drag this file into this, and you're gonna notice a bunch of lines of code. Okay. Don't worry, this isn't a virus. This only works within Blender, so don't panic. Make sure that you have your duplicate armature selected, okay? You don't want to play with your original armature. So this is the duplicate armature because it has 0.002 in its name, okay? So have this selected, and then go to scripting, and then click on play, okay? And magic happens. This now starts to look much more natural, okay? You can see the arm bones if you go to edit mode. This is the right arm. This is the right forearm. You can actually see everything. This doesn't change the name of your bones, so you don't have to worry. It just removes a bunch of offset and bones that are bones that are besides the main bones, I should say. But for Yoshimitsu, it keeps the attachment, stuff like his sword, stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, it expands your bones. It makes it looks nice and natural. And the same for the spine. Anyway, so I'm gonna actually be moving this back to let me actually expand enlarge this. I'm gonna be moving it back to the origin. I'm gonna hide the original armature, okay? I'm gonna hide this by pressing H. And if you're wondering where the actual elbow for your tuxedo is, you're gonna have to look here, okay? So this is the elbow basically. This is your elbow joint, and you're gonna have to align the elbows of your custom armature with these elbows, okay? And the same thing for the bones, in case you didn't want to work with the mesh, if you wanted to hide the mesh, you can still align it based on this duplicate armature, okay? And you can see that it's actually it's still messed up. So oops, let me actually unhide. This passes perfectly through this duplicate mesh armature, passes perfectly through the fingers, but your custom mesh doesn't, and you're gonna have to manually pose that to fix things, but I'm not gonna be doing that anyway. So we actually posed this thing, but we're gonna have to apply the pose, okay? And how we can do that is by actually going and selecting our mesh, okay, our custom mesh. Our custom mesh is actually here. So we have a bunch of meshes. Here's the thing with this mesh. It has duplicate meshes, okay? How did I know that? If you go to materials, okay, you should see, it's kind of textured, but it's not clear, okay? This is very specific to my case, but I'm going to show you anyway, to be honest. So if you're bothered by seeing the textures looking like that, by the way, I pressed on this thing, which is changing the viewport into material preview, okay? You can do that by pressing on Z and moving your mouse to select whatever you want. I previously had this, I can go here. Anyway, so a few tips here and there. I'm gonna go to materials, and I'm gonna, actually I don't want to do this. I don't want to make this too tedious for you guys. But what I'll be doing, because I worked with this mesh before, and I figured that there are duplicate meshes, okay? And the reason why I say this, because, okay, let me not go to the shading. Let me actually just show you, how can I explain this? Okay, so I'll be going to tab just to show you something, okay? I'll be going to, I'm gonna select this, okay? First, I'm gonna click Alt-A. I'm gonna select this, okay? And then click on this and move it. We still have a silhouette, if you guys can see it. You see the silhouette? This is actually because we have duplicate meshes. This has nothing to do with the XPS files in general. This is just because the XPS file I'm working with has messed up structures. So I'm gonna be deleting this because this is a duplicate. I'm gonna be deleting this. Okay. Why I deleted this specifically? Let me actually explain why I deleted this. So if I went here and I went to shading, I want to see what type of material this thing has. And in the diffuse, there should be a file called diffuse. Yeah, there should be a node called diffuse here, okay? I went to the shading tab, okay? And the diffuse should be actually the _D file. But this is an XPS file and it's already messed up. So this is, I can actually delete this. I'm not gonna fix this and change it to the D file. So I'm gonna actually delete this. But let me show you actually what, I have this one that already has the diffuse ready. Okay, it's exactly the same thing, but it's just Genji underscore D, which is the diffuse map, and it's correctly assigned to this. Okay, in this case, it's exactly the same thing, Genji, but it's underscore M, but it's assigned to the diffuse map, which is something we really don't want. Anyway, this is an issue with the XPS file that I'm working with. I just thought about telling you why I'm doing this, just because if you guys were having trouble with a similar XPS file, whoops, I'm gonna go back to shading, and yeah, this is also underscore M, and it should be diffuse file. Anyway, I'm gonna be deleting this because I already have something for the wakizashi here. Okay, I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna be deleting this too because it's the same thing. This is underscore M, it should be diffuse, it should be underscore D. I'm gonna delete this. I can actually keep the logo for now. Anyway, so here's the thing. You see this? It will not look as good, but if you want to make it look good in Blender, just in Blender, you can actually change this to, you can just uncheck this, okay? Will be something like auto blend, uncheck show backface. So we actually can see this properly now. I'm gonna hide the tuxedo so you guys can see. Before, when I had this checked, when I had this checked, it was kind of transparent and you can actually see the backside and stuff. But when you uncheck this, you can actually see your actual textures and material properly applied. Okay, it won't change anything in Unreal Engine, whether you checked it or unchecked it or you did anything here. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. As long as you have this file, this thing, that's all that matters, to be honest. To Unreal Engine and to the game, that's all that matters. This name. Okay? Anyway, nothing else here matters. Anyway, I just thought of showing you this. I'm going to be actually joining the different stuff. So there's one for his sheath. I don't really need to join this, actually. Let me keep them separate. I don't need to join it. But everyone has a material. This is called material, by the way. And this is, this is the only thing you'll be concerned about. Just the name, basically. The same for this and all this. You're not going to have to worry about anything else. Checking or unchecking anything else. Anyway. So, okay. So far so good. We pause this. Now we have to apply our pose, okay? I'm going to select my custom armature, and I'm going to go back to pause mode. Actually, before I do this, yeah, I remembered what I have to do. I'm going to actually have to join them. So I'm going to join them all together. Okay? And why I'm going to do that? Because I just want to make things quicker. You don't really need to do this. Whoops. Ignore that. Something else. Yeah. I'm going to click on this and shift and click on the first one. It doesn't matter where you stop. Just make sure that all these guys are selected. And then click on Control J. So you're going to end up having just one mesh, okay? That covers everything. You can move this. You'll notice that the sheath moves along with it too, and stuff. Anyway, so we just have one thing here. And why I did this, because I just want to do this next step quickly, which is, I'm going to go to this modifier tab, okay? You see this armature? I'm going to click on this tiny arrow, okay? And go to duplicate. Click this, okay? You're going to notice this ridiculous pose, but it doesn't really matter. Make sure that you select the first one, go here, and click on this arrow and click apply, okay? Now here's the thing, go back to your armature, custom armature, change back to pose mode, select all bones, then go to pose, go to apply and apply rest pose. Okay, and you have to do this in order to have this T pose be the default pose. Okay, otherwise it would be reverting back to the original pose, the one that we we just worked with, which was something like this. It would be reverting back to its original position, and we don't want that. We want this to be the new default pose. Anyway, we have this set. So far so good. We can actually delete this now. But first, before deleting the custom armature, I'm gonna make sure that I have the scales properly applied to my custom mesh. Okay, so the scales are pretty huge here. And actually click, make sure that I have my custom mesh clicked, and click on Ctrl A. Okay. If you didn't join these guys, you're just gonna have to repeat the steps that I did here with the modifiers tab by duplicating and applying and reverting back the rest pose to each and every single mesh here. Okay. Anyway, hope that made sense. So I'm gonna be deleting this armature right now, the custom armature, and your custom mesh should remain in place, but you're gonna see it as a separate thing. It's not attached to any armature. The armature are this stickman thing, by the way. Okay. So what I'll be doing right now is, you see this duplicate armature. It's not the original armature. This is the original armature. Okay. This is the duplicate. Okay. I'm gonna click on this duplicate. Click on the custom mesh first, then shift and click on the duplicate armature second. Press Ctrl P, and then with automatic weights. And magic should happen. Now, once you select your duplicate armature, you can actually move stuff, and your mesh will be moving along with it. Okay. The reason why I made a duplicate armature and change the bones is because to make it easier to use auto weight, basically. This feature, this Blender feature. Otherwise, if you're not okay with this, with the weight painting, you're gonna have to select your mesh, okay, and go to weight paint mode and start, painting the weights manually. Okay. I won't be showing that in this tutorial. Okay. It doesn't give perfect results. There are a few things that you have to weight paint manually, like these stuff over here. Okay. And yeah, I'm just not gonna do that. Anyway, I'm gonna keep them like this. It doesn't really matter. Just I want to get the general feel to this thing. It's kind of okay for the purposes of this tutorial. Let me see the spine, how it moves. Okay, it's good, even though we have a bunch of stuff levitating over here. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so we have it weighted to our duplicate mesh, but we don't want to weight it to our attach it to our duplicate mesh. We want to attach it to our original mesh, which is this one, original armature. Sorry, we have a duplicate to our duplicate armature, but we want to have it attached to our original armature. So what we're going to do, I'm going to hide the original. I'm going to actually delete this, okay? And don't worry, the weight isn't lost, okay? You're still going to have the vertex groups attached to it. We can actually remove this because, yeah, you don't have to play anything with it here, okay? I'm not going to touch those. Anyway, I'm going to unhide this, then make sure that I click my mesh first, then shift and click my original armature second, click Ctrl P, and this time just armature deform, okay? And if you want to see if it actually moves now along your bone, the bones here are super tiny. Like, look, this should be the bone that controls his thigh and stuff. Yeah, see? Actually moves along with your original armature now. This is exactly what we need to be doing. I just made a duplicate armature because I wanted to weight paint it. I wanted to make it easier for Blender to weight paint, auto weight paint this thing, okay? Otherwise, I'm gonna have to manually weight paint it. and this is manual weight painting, okay? I'm not going to be going through it. Weight painting is basically is a way to make your armature, your mesh, move along your bones, okay? Anyway, yeah, I just had to throw it out there, even though it's kind of too late to explain that now. But anyway, so we have this ready, but we still have our original mesh. Make sure that you unhide this, and you have to delete it, okay? We don't want the tuxedo. We just want this thing, okay? So I'm gonna, this is actually ready for us to export, okay? I'm just gonna check the scales. Both the scale and the position seem to be reverted back to normal. Looks good. We can actually export this into the FBX format. So I'm gonna go to here, File, Export, FBX, and then I'm gonna go to, yeah, I'm gonna probably save it. No, I'm gonna save it here, okay? I'm gonna delete this, okay? Because I don't want to confuse you guys. I'm gonna call this, whatever, tutorial, okay? FBX, but before I actually save stuff, I'm gonna have to change a few settings here. And what you're going to need to change is the following, okay? I'm gonna actually be looking at these two along with you guys. So everything here, you're not gonna change anything here, okay? What you're going to change is basically the transforms. You don't have to change anything with those. You're gonna have to change the geometry. This should be set to faces, okay? And you're gonna have to check this, okay? Make sure that both these guys, apply modifiers and tangent space, are checked. And I'm gonna show you in a second that this is for the transform, this is for the geometry. Yeah, you see, this is what I'm talking about. So yeah, and you're gonna have to change a few things with the armature. So the primary bone, you're gonna have to set this to x-axis, okay? And this is to minus y-axis, okay? This should remain null. And make sure that you check only deform bones, and you can uncheck this, and uncheck bake animations. Anyway, so far so good. All right. Now, if you really don't want to keep on repeating these, because every time you're gonna export something in FBX, once you close Blender, these settings will be reverted back. So instead of you know, keep on changing these settings back, you can actually click on this plus sign and save it as a preset, okay? I already have mine saved over here, okay? So let's say I check this, and I shouldn't have that checked, okay? This shouldn't be checked. I'm gonna just show you how basically custom preset works. So I just selected my custom preset. I called it Tekken 7 custom mesh export, and this is now unchecked. And all these guys are, you know, appropriately adjusted, okay, so to speak. Anyway, I'm gonna export this now. This is ready. I'm gonna minimize Blender. You're not gonna close Blender this early, to be honest with you. This process is gonna be involved with a lot of trial and error, okay? So I advise you to minimize it, okay? And make sure that you save checkpoints. So for example, I'm gonna click Control Shift and S to save a checkpoint, okay? I'm gonna be saving it in tutorial. Call it titled 1, for example. This is just a checkpoint, you know, for my Blender project. It's just good practice. You don't really have to do it, but yeah, I would recommend that. Anyway, so we're gonna have to go to whatever we exported our FBX file. So I exported it in my project directory, which should be tutorial. Yes, it's here. So this is actually the FBX file. And I'm gonna be importing this FBX file to Unreal Engine, okay? I already started Unreal Engine. And if it was your first time, you're gonna see something like this, okay? Tekken game. Then, you know, it's this is the Tekken game project. But here's the thing. I don't want to change this. I want to create duplicate for this project, okay? Because I want to keep this as backup. Okay, every time I'm starting a new project, I can still have my my reference instead of downloading it again. I'm just gonna duplicate this. So I right click on show in folder. Okay, right click, show in folder, and I should have so this is basically my directory where I have the Unreal Engine projects located. Okay, I call this Tekken game minus bin original. Okay, you're gonna probably see something that in your case it might be called something along the lines of Tekken game minus bin. Anyway, I added this original. I'm just gonna copy this file, the project file itself. I'm gonna rename this file to tutorial. Okay, now you might not see it immediately here, so you can click refresh. You're gonna see two Tekken game projects. You're gonna have to hover around and take a look at the path. This is not the right path. This is actually the right path because this has tutorial. Okay, so I'm gonna be opening this. Click on more options and then click on skip conversion. Okay. Oh, and by the way, in Blender, you should go here and go to this materials tab. You notice that we're gonna have 4 materials that we need to assign. Okay. So in my case, there's a material for the entire body. Okay. A material for his sheath, dragon blade sheath. I think it's the one in the back. This one, the long one. This is for the wakizashi. If you want to figure out which is for which, you can actually click tab, press on tab to shift to edit mode, basically, and then have this materials tab ready, and you can actually click select. Okay. So yeah, this material is for this object. Okay. Deselect it, wakizashi. This is for this thing. Deselected, and this is for the entire body. Yeah. And deselect this. And what is logo for? I'm not sure. Okay, this is actually okay. This is actually for his shoulder pad. Oh, it's for this logo. Anyway, I'm just gonna be importing this, guys. Okay, I'm not gonna be I'm gonna be importing the material for this thing. Everything else would be a repetition. Okay, you would have to repeat the same steps for every material, each of these 4 materials. But I'm just gonna show you how I do it for the main one. Okay. Anyway, I can actually minimize Blender now. Have this. Okay, this is already open. Okay, so here's the thing. You see that the gITF file that we originally exported from the game. This one. Okay, this was for his tuxedo, right? I'm gonna grab this over to the side. We're gonna have to recreate this directory. Okay, you see this directory, game, starting from character. Okay, basically, we're gonna have to recreate this directory. So, yeah, my file was here, in case you guys were wondering. So I'm gonna have to recreate this path. So I'm gonna go here. We already have a character, so I'll be starting from here. We don't need common, but we already have item, and we need the items file. We have it over here. So far so good. We have the meshes file. Awesome. Okay, we don't have the common file. Okay, so what we can do here, we can right click and create a new folder, call it CMN. Okay, and double click that. Make sure that, yeah, we're gonna create a new one, called it full body. What I'm basically doing is just recreating the directory, because how the game realizes that you're actually trying to change the tuxedo is through the path. Okay, the path that you make here. Okay, and the path that you pack your files with. Anyway, I'll be explaining the packing process in a few moments, but you go to full body. Okay, you right click, and because this thing has a long name, I'm gonna actually copy its name. I'm gonna create a new folder and just paste its name over here. So far so good. We have common full body. this thing. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna have to create 3 files. I'm gonna start with meshes. So here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Before I actually create the 2 other folders, which are material and textures, we can actually test our mesh without the. Oh, whoops, excuse me. You don't have to click anything here. Anyway, we can actually test our mesh within the game. It won't have the textures, but we can actually test it. Okay, so excuse me. So you can what you can do is grab the FBX file that you exported with Blender, drag it all the way to the meshes file. Okay, this should be the meshes file. So I didn't have it open. This should be the meshes file. Okay, the inner meshes file. We have one outer and one inner. The innermost meshes file. I know it's confusing because they're both called exactly the same thing, but anyway. So we're gonna change a few things in the import settings, okay? We're gonna change the skeleton to this base skeleton. Now, pretty much all characters except for LSI use this skeleton, okay? If you're modding for LSI, you're gonna choose this skeleton, okay? But I'm not modding for LSI, so I'm gonna be choosing this skeleton. Anyway, you're gonna have to expand this, click on this tiny arrow, okay? And change this normal import method to import normals and tangents. And in my case, I'm not going to be creating physics assets for this thing. If it's something that you can get away, use, but it's pretty advanced, and I won't be covering this in this tutorial. Not that I know. Actually, I myself haven't learned physics assets yet. Anyway, so make sure you uncheck that, at least for the very beginning. You don't need to import any animations. These should be 0, both, okay, 1, awesome. You don't have to import any materials, so uncheck these. I'm going to expand the miscellaneous. You shouldn't change anything here, okay? So click on import all, and you should actually be seeing a few errors. Okay, except this one. This is actually a problem. But the rest are pretty much expected, because we have we have stuff that don't have weights. Okay, remember that we used to move the arm and there were stuff still not moving along the arm. These are the things that the Unreal Engine is warning us about. Okay, these vertices. So I'm gonna go back to Blender, but I still have to fix this very first issue, which is could not find the bind pose. And to fix this issue, I'm gonna go to Blender, and here's what I'm going to be doing. Click on this, go to edit mode, okay. Select all by pressing A, and click on mesh. I'm gonna clean up, okay. I'm gonna delete loops first. Nothing was removed, okay. This is this was pretty useless, but anyway, repeat this, but actually instead of clicking delete bones, I'm gonna be merging by distance, okay? That's very strange. Okay. Okay, it's very strange. Anyway, I remember doing this before and it worked, but for some reason now it's not working. Anyway, that's Tekken 7 modding for you guys. Anyway, so I'm gonna be exporting this again. Maybe things will be different. Exported as FBX. I already have my preset. I think everything's ready, so I don't need to change stuff. Yeah, everything's ready, but I just like pressing on this. Yeah, I'm gonna be replacing this file, so I'm not gonna change the name. Minimize this. Then I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna close this window, and then I'm gonna grab this. Yeah, the settings should be ready, except for this skeleton assignment. So I'm gonna be selecting this base skeleton, okay, and then go to import all. Okay, I'll be ignoring this, to be honest. I'll be ignoring this. Anyway, you can actually You can actually ignore the errors for now. We can actually ignore them, okay? So here's the thing. Once you open this, it will be so huge, okay? And this is actually the issue. This was the actual issue. I think this was the issue that the Unreal Engine was warning us about. Why am I saying it's huge? You notice this gray thing underneath his feet? This is actually the world, okay? And this should be much bigger than his body. So I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be scaling him down by 100. That's why I scaled him. I'm gonna be scaling down the armature, by the way. Okay, guys. Go to Blender and then scale this thing down. I have it scaled down. I'm gonna be applying by clicking Ctrl A, apply all transforms. I'm going a bit quickly because I already showed you the steps. I'm gonna click on the mesh and then apply same thing, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna export this again. Third time's the charm. It's okay, you gotta be used to this exporting stuff. Okay. This thing involves a lot of trial and error, so you have to be used to repeating steps. Anyway, I'm gonna change this to the base skeleton, and I'm not gonna change anything. Okay, so yeah, we fixed the first issue, which was related to these issues. We don't really have to worry about the waiting it to root. It's all good. So it was actually, the first one was actually a size issue, okay? Anyway, now that we fixed that, we have to change the name to the original name. My original name was the original name of the gITF file, which is this. I'm gonna copy the name, and I'm gonna change this, paste the name. That way it's named exactly the way the file that I'm replacing it with is renamed. I double clicked it, and as you can see, you know, how this plane fares against this guy. It's you can see how, you know, how basically your mesh should compare with this plane. Anyway, this is the perfect size. This is exactly what you want, okay? So what you're going to be doing is I'm just going to be assigning a material for my full body, okay? How you can figure out which is for which, okay? You see these names underneath? These are actually the names that we saw in Blender, which is these names, okay? And I told you how to figure out which is which by clicking Tab and then Alt-A, you know, because I was selecting everything, and you can click on Select. That way you can see, okay, this is for the whole body, okay? You select it, and this, you know, it's the same thing. Anyway, so I'm going to be assigning just to this thing, okay, for the purposes of this tutorial. I'm going to be assigning a material to this thing. You can actually save this mesh, okay, and you can actually use it in game, and it'll look exactly like this. It won't have any material or texture, you know, assigned to it. So you don't have to assign anything here, and you can actually load this in game. And just to emphasize that, I'm gonna pack it to show you guys. I'm not gonna run the game, but I just want to show you how I'm gonna start with the packing process, okay? So you're gonna click on Save All, Save Selected, and go to File menu, Cook, okay? We're gonna be repeating these steps, unfortunately, but it's important that you check your mesh, okay? You can actually have everything ready, but you can just check your mesh straight away. If you don't want to be bothered with the materials, you can just check it without any textures or materials inside the game. So while it cooks, I'm gonna actually be preparing to pack it, okay? So I assume that you already have U4 pack, okay? Here's the thing. You're gonna have probably these files, okay? And these two, I'm not sure. If you've used the U4 pack before, you probably have these two files. Anyway, in my case, I have this additional file. I like to have my mods stored here, so I'm gonna open this in a new window. I'm gonna be creating a new file. I'm gonna call this tutorial, okay? But it has to end with underscore p, okay? Tutorial underscore p, or just tut, okay? Underscore p. Now here's the thing. This actually, you should actually see this message. I know it's an error message, but this is exactly what you need to see, because this will actually prove to you that things actually worked in Unreal Engine. So you're good to go. You can press OK. You should see this error message if you did things right. Anyway, so I created this file, okay? I'm gonna open it and leave it here just for a second, okay? Go to Unreal Engine, go to File, Open Project. You see my project, this one, the tutorial, the one that I'm in right now. I'm gonna right-click it and click Show in Folder, okay? I'll close this, and this actually opened up, the project directory, and I can actually go to where my cooked files are and my saved files. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go to cooked. This is where Unreal Engine saves your cooked files, okay? And you go to Windows No Editor. You see this file, Tekken game. You're gonna actually copy this and paste it to your whatever you name this thing, underscore p, okay? It has to end with underscore p. You have to paste this here, okay? And we're gonna clean up a few things. So we're gonna, why am I cleaning this? Why do we need to clean it? Let me explain this. It all revolves around your original mesh, which is this one, okay? You see this file here? So we're only interested in content, okay? We don't have anything else. So I'm gonna be actually deleting these guys, okay? And everything that has our basically our original mesh is within character. So you're gonna delete all these other files and just keep character, okay? I'm trying to follow along the same hierarchy, okay? It's all about this hierarchy. you're gonna have to follow everything here, except for your model, and with few additional things, I guess. Tekken game instead of game, okay? Few changes, but make sure that this should be Tekken game and this content, okay? And this is character, okay? I'm gonna go inside. I don't need the common file. Actually, I do have it here, but we're not gonna be using any master shaders. So if you didn't do these steps, okay? If you didn't do these steps, the ones that I told you that I skipped over, and you're not reusing any materials from inside the game, you can actually skip this. You can actually delete this, okay? So I'm gonna be deleting this because I'm using completely new materials in my case. I'm not reusing any old materials. Anyway, so I deleted this. I'm gonna go to item, meshes. It's the same here. Common. I only need common, so I'm gonna delete these guys. Okay. I'm gonna be deleting Alyssa and just keep common, full body. Okay, so far so good, okay? So here's the thing. We're gonna actually have to drag this file into the patcher, okay? To patch this. So you're gonna have your patcher opened and ready, whatever you extracted your patcher. So I'm gonna be dragging this file into the patch.bat. Okay, wait for it to patch stuff, click enter, and then you're gonna find a new file, okay? So this new file should contain this mesh. I'm gonna copy this patched and cooked mesh, and I'm gonna paste it here. Where did I paste it? I pasted inside this tutorial underscore p. It will be, in your case, it will be whatever name you chose underscore p, okay? It's inside the meshes. The deepest meshes file, okay, not this one. I'm gonna paste it here, replace this one, because this one is just the cooked file. I want it to be cooked and patched. So we can actually pack this. and I just want to show you real quick how to pack this. So you see this tutorial underscore p, have this visible, and go to wherever you have u for pack, okay? In my case, it's here. You're gonna drag this file, and you're gonna drop it here, okay? Drag it and drop it to drop mod folder here underscore bat, okay? Press enter. It's gonna tell you a bunch of stuff, and then all okay. Press enter, then go to the pack file, and you should see it here, okay? This is new because look at my clock over here, and look, it's the latest thing, okay? You can actually copy this file into your mods directory, or I have which is something like Tekken game content packs. I forgot what this character is called, but you know, this weird wave character, and then followed by mods, okay? If this isn't there, you have to create this file, okay? You can paste it here. I'm not gonna paste it because I want to add the material. So you can paste it here, and you can actually run the game, and you can actually see how it looks within the game. It won't have textures. It will look exactly like this, gray, okay? But you'll see how it looks, you'll see how the animations look, you know, and everything. And you can actually see how your weight painting job was, you know? Anyway, so I'm not going to be doing that, and I'm going to be actually adding the materials, and I'm going to be doing this all in one go, okay? So here's the thing. I'm going to close this. I'm going to be repeating steps, yeah, I know. But, so I'm going to go to this file, okay? Back to this file. And instead, I only have meshes. But remember, I originally have 3 different files. Okay, I don't know which one it was. I think, yeah. I originally had 3 files. One is material, so I'm going to be creating a file called material. Make sure that you spell things correctly and everything is capitalized properly, okay? I'm not going to need that. Anyway, right click, new folder, texture, okay? So here's the thing. I'm gonna enlarge this. So you see this icon over here? Click on it to see, you know, this Explorer, you know, hierarchy, file hierarchy menu, okay? Within Unreal Engine. So we're gonna go to common, okay? We're gonna go to shader and material. You see this m_ch base? We're gonna right click on it and create material instance, okay? I'm gonna be naming this mi underscore something like tutorial, that's it, TUT. Yeah, should be good enough. Anyway, I'm gonna drag this material instance that I created from this one, drag it all the way to the material file here inside this file, and drag it to materials and click on move here, okay? And I'm gonna go there. You can see it there, okay? Now as for the textures, I'm gonna actually have to grab the textures that I want. Now the reason why I just created one material, because I told you guys I'm gonna be assigning this material to just this one, okay? I have 4 materials, like I explained earlier. 4, okay? I'm just gonna be assigning this one, the main body one, which is this one, okay? It has the exact same name. So I'm gonna click on this menu and then search for mi_tut_tut, click on it, then this is actually assigned, but I need to add the textures before I actually save and cook stuff. So I'm gonna be looking to where I have this Genji guy downloaded, so it's here. So you're gonna drag the textures, in my case it's this thing, Genji_D. How do you know that it's Genji how did I know that it's Genji_D? It's simple, really. You see this? I'm gonna go and make sure that I have this material selected, then go to shading, okay? And you're gonna see that this exact same material name is here. And you're gonna see in this diffuse, the diffuse is the only thing that we care about, to be honest. We also care about the normal maps, but this is kind of your cursor, so to speak. So you see this file name called genji_d.tga. This is exactly what I'm dragging into the textures file. So I'm gonna be dragging this here. Okay. Okay, for some reason it's not. Where is it? Yeah, it's over here. Drag this over here. And drag this over to this side. I drag it. Okay, and because Tekken also uses 3 different maps, the mask, which is Genji_M, and the normal, which is Genji_N, I'm gonna have to grab these 2 also. Okay. Now you don't have to change the names, although I recommend changing the name to make it consistent with this thing. Okay. So I just want to make things consistent. Okay. I'm gonna be adding this. I'm gonna be deleting Genji. I'm just gonna leave. So, oops. I'm gonna be calling this. Let me rename it. You can click on your item and then click F2 to rename. And instead of MI, I'm gonna start this with T. Okay, for texture. T_tutorial_D, which is the diffuse. Okay. And pretty much do the same thing for the rest of the other guys. So just copy the name, paste it here, and change this to N. Do the same thing, click F2 to rename, paste it, change this to N because it's the mask. Okay. We pretty much don't care about the mask unless you want to make things colorable, but I'm not covering that. So yeah, this is just there for the purposes of being there. Okay, it's pretty much useless. But you need to have something there. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so we can actually save. I just have to make sure that you assigned. Okay, I assigned it. The material, okay. This is assigned. You can actually save all now. Yes, click Save Selected. Then go and click on File and click Cook for Windows. Okay, wait for it to cook. Now, in the meantime, while it cooks, I'm gonna go to a file which is, where is it? Well, that it should be called. What I'm looking for, guys, is I'm looking for. I want to create the material and texture files within the tutorial_p file that I created. So I have way too many things open. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and yeah, this is a bit of advice. So you see this file within your whatever you called it _p file. I recommend creating a shortcut and putting it on your desktop. Okay, just a pro tip: drag this on your to your desktop. Okay. I already have a file called this. So I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna drag this over here. Okay. Yeah. So you can actually go straight to this file without actually having to, go down the file down. Anyway, Unreal Engine finished cooking, and this is exactly what this translates to. Everything worked great. So click on OK, and yeah, we're gonna be creating. Instead of creating it, I'm gonna just open whatever I have. The Unreal Engine project file. Go to saved, cooked. I think I already have it open, but yeah, I'm gonna go through it again. Tekken game. I'm going a bit fast because you guys know what I did this before. Tekken item, meshes, common, full body, and this thing. I'm gonna be copying these 2. Okay. But I'm gonna be copying actually all 3 of them, including the mesh. Okay. I'm gonna be dropping it here. Okay. I'm gonna be replacing my mesh. Okay. This is now a new file. because I'm gonna have to cook it once more, because now I assigned a material for my mesh. Before I didn't have this material assigned. Now I have the material assigned. So I have to cook this once more, okay? This is important. I have to replace it, sorry. Yeah, okay, so now I'm gonna, you see this? I'm gonna grab this, and I'm gonna patch it once more. I already did these steps, so I'm gonna try to go over them quickly. Should have the patcher somewhere. Okay, if it's not open, doesn't really matter. I have it over here. Anyway, I don't need this. I'm gonna drag it over here just to make things organized. I can delete this, but I like saving stuff. Anyway, grab this file from my tutorial_p file to the batch. Okay, patch.bat. Now I should have a new file over here. Okay, copy these three and paste them here. Replace everything. Okay, you need to replace the patched files with whatever you had in this file. Okay, now that I replaced this, we're not exactly ready to pack this, okay? Because the materials that we have from Unreal Engine will not work, okay? This is probably the most convoluted part of this tutorial, okay? Which is swapping, okay? So I'm gonna be closing this, okay? I'm gonna be dragging this to this side. You have to have downloaded uAsset Renamer already, okay? So make sure that you open up where you have uAsset Renamer downloaded, and here's what you're going to do, okay? I'm gonna create a buffer file, okay? Just to make things tidy a little bit. And I'm gonna drag everything, my materials and my textures into this buffer file, okay? These are my custom materials and custom textures, okay? I'm gonna grab them and put them here. All right, so far so good. Here's the thing. You also had downloaded another file that I gave you in the description, which is this thing, okay? You should already have this. If it was in RAR file, make sure that you extracted the RAR file, and you have these two files, okay? You have access to these two. So I'm gonna copy the material here, okay, into the buffer. I pasted it here, okay? I'm gonna do the same thing for the textures of this file, okay? This is the file that I gave you guys. You should already have it downloaded. So I'm gonna copy the textures to this thing. Now, you don't really have to use anything, this exact thing, okay? But here's the thing. You can actually export a material. I exported this from using umodel, okay? I exported this material file from the game, the Tekken game, okay? Using umodel. But you need to look for something that has a long name, okay? And has a very small size, which is around 4 kilobytes, okay? That's why we can't get away with the materials of this thing, okay? Which is the one that we exported. Yes, this one. We can't use the material here because okay, it's not in the appropriate format. But anyway, even if you exported it as a uAsset file, okay, uAsset file using umodel, you can actually save it as a uAsset file using umodel. You won't be able to use it because it will most likely be larger than 6 kilobytes. And I think you should have a file that is very small, you know, okay? Anyway, if this doesn't make sense, forget about all this, just follow what I'm doing, okay? So we placed everything inside the buffer file, okay? We placed these files, okay? These files are the ones that we downloaded. And these are our custom stuff, okay? The ones that we cooked and patched, okay? All right, so far so good. So we're gonna go to asset renamer. Here's what we're going to do. We're gonna go to the buffer file, okay? First, select your custom material, okay? In my case, it's mi_tut, okay? Select this first. And then select the mi file, this one, okay? The one that you downloaded. You should have a new file called mi_ whatever you named it, -new, okay? We're gonna rename this into this, okay? We're gonna grab this, copy the name, and paste it over here, okay? Just rename it. And then click on US rename. We're gonna select this one first, okay? This one first. And then, not this one, we're gonna go to this one, the one that we just renamed, and double click on that, okay? We should end up with this thing, okay? tutorial_new, okay? We're gonna rename this into the M, okay? This one. The _M, the one ending with _M, the mask texture. Rename it, okay? Double click on the US renamer. You're gonna select this one first, the one that's ending with _M, and then the one that you just renamed, this one, okay? Which ends with _M. You're gonna end up with this one. You know, you got, I think you got the general idea. So we're gonna rename, we're gonna grab the name of this one and rename our new file, this one, into this, and then pretty much do the same thing. We're gonna select the N file, custom N texture first, and then select this one second, okay? This one, the one that we just renamed. Okay, we can actually rename this back to our custom material instance name, okay? In my case, it's this. I copied the name and I pasted it here, okay? This is actually ready. This material instance file is ready. So I can actually copy this, and you see where I have this tutorial_p? You see this? I'm gonna replace this thing with this, okay? Replace it. Awesome. So now that I have this, now that I have the material instance ready, I'm gonna have to do the same thing for the textures, okay? These T files, okay? The files that start with T. They're all UAsset files. When I say T files, I mean the files that start, you know, with the letter, you know. Anyway, so I recommend deleting all this because you're not gonna need any of this. This is the thing that we already dragged here, so we're not gonna need it. It's already ready for game, but we copied this here. So we're gonna do the same thing for our textures. Go to buffer, and then select your custom texture first. In my case, I'm gonna start with the diffuse _D, and then I'm gonna go select this one second, okay? And we should end with something that looks like this. You're just gonna remove the new, okay? This new part, you see it? Delete it, okay? And keep this here. Do the same for the rest. Select the _M texture first, your custom one, and then this one second, okay? Remove the new, okay? Do the same for the last one, which is this first, your custom first, and then this one second, okay? Okay, I'm gonna be removing the new. Okay. These textures are almost ready for the game, but we're gonna do something to them first, okay? Before we can actually do stuff. So make sure that you have downloaded texture editor. By the way, yeah, this is something that I forgot to, I don't think Dennis mentions this in the tutorial. Yeah, it's not mentioned here. I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna have to pause the video and download this thing, okay? Where you can find it, you can go to this main page that I provided you with, and you're gonna see something that's called texture editor, Tekken 7 texture editor, okay? Make sure that you download the latest version because I think there are different versions here, okay? So you should have this version, okay? Download this texture editor from here, and then so we can actually do this step. Once you download the texture editor, you're gonna run it, okay? And if your custom mesh, okay, uses TGA files, you're gonna have to convert them into PNG or any of these formats. Let me show you what formats this thing works with. Let me first grab this here and click on import. This only works with these formats, okay? So make sure that you convert whatever textures you started with, custom textures, you convert them into one of these 5 formats, okay? I already converted my textures into PNG, okay? So, okay, so far so good. So, yeah, I'm gonna repeat this, don't worry guys. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna double click this again, minimize this. Now here's the thing, you see this, these textures that we just, you know, renamed, remove the -new from. We're gonna grab one of them. I'm gonna start with the T_D, and you're gonna see this. Now what you're gonna do is click on import texture, and in my case I have mine, I believe should be, I have it here. Yeah, I'm gonna, this is the diffuse _D, okay? It ends with _D, so I'm gonna be using the diffuse map. It's gonna give you a few warnings. You're just gonna click yes, yes, it doesn't matter. And yeah, I have my diffuse texture ready. Click save as, and make sure you save it on top of this thing. So you're gonna actually have to grab this address, paste it here. Yeah, we're gonna save it on top of your original one here, you know, the one that we renamed, okay? Replace, yes, I want to replace this. Okay, it's all good, you can press OK. Okay, awesome. You do the same thing with the rest. You go here, and then you're going to click on import. You import your texture file. This is the mask, so I'm going to be dragging the mask for my texture. I called it this. It doesn't matter what you call it. Just click yes. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you call these texture files, because what matters is the name of these files. Okay. So yeah, yeah. Just so okay. I changed this. Now I can save it. I can save it on top of this this m file. Okay, _m mask. Do you want to replace it? I do. Okay. Do this for the very last texture. It should be the normal map. Import. Mine are over here. And drag this. Click yes. I think there is a limit. You can't go past 4K. I think. For you know, the Tekken game can't handle 4K textures. I believe above 4K textures. So make sure you don't go past that limit. Okay, so I'm gonna be saving this and make sure that I have this same name as this. Okay. Okay, so if you want to check that your changes were applied, you can drag these files and verify. Okay. So yeah, the normal maps look good. Everything checks out. So these are actually ready for the game. We can copy those, and we can finally paste them into this tutorial _p or wherever you named it. I'm gonna be replacing these guys, and I'll be loading the game to show you guys. I'll be pausing the video here. Oh, okay, first let me pack it. Show you how, I already showed you how to pack stuff, but let me show it again. Doesn't harm anybody. So you see this file, I'm gonna drag it over to this mod folder. It's gonna say that it will be replacing any old files that are called this. So this is actually my new file, so it's not my old one. I'm gonna copy this and paste it in my mods directory, okay? So I have this ready. I can actually, so before I actually have a conflicting mod, I can actually run the game and I can show you guys how it looks inside the game. But let me pause here for a second. Alright guys, now I have my game running and ready, so I'm gonna show you what it looks like in a second. And I'm gonna, yeah, do a new customization slot for it. Let me go to Tuxedo. You can see what's it's kind of working, but yeah, it's you can see stuff levitating about above his head, and these are the things that Unreal Engine was warning us about. They don't have weights assigned to them, so they were they anything that doesn't have weight assigned to it, it starts levitating above the head of your character. And and I didn't do the hands properly, so you can see how his hands look absolutely dreadful. But yeah, overall, for something that's done very quickly, I mean, it's pretty okay. To tune your results, you have to actually pause it properly and align it exactly with your with your original mesh in Blender to have things be basically flawless. And you're gonna have to do some weight painting too to kind of adjust stuff. I mean, the elbows, yeah, there is a gap in the elbow and stuff. Yeah, these are probably things that you can fix in by weight painting in Blender, I believe. Anyway, so yeah, guys, I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope that yeah, I hope that you're gonna do. I mean, I can't wait to see what awesome stuff you're gonna create with this. And as always, guys, I mean, if you have any questions or stuff that confused you in this tutorial, you can always post in the comments below, or feel free. I'm gonna leave a link to the Discord, the modding Discord, in the description, so you guys can go and check that out too. Because honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do this without the help of the guys there. So go there and check it out. So anyway, guys, that'll be all. So I'll see you later. Okay, guys, so in case you wanted to know how to actually get this add-on, just in case you didn't have this and you wanted to import basically a file extension, a mesh that ends with these types of extensions. Um, I'm gonna give you a link to this GitHub, okay? And you're gonna go there, okay? And then click on this arrow, small arrow, okay? And click on download zip, okay? Now, I already have that downloaded, so I'm gonna go to Blender. You're gonna go to Blender. Make sure that you put it in a location where you're not gonna, move this file. You're not gonna need to extract it, by the way, okay? Just move it to a place where you're gonna, you can put it and keep it there, So I would recommend moving it, putting it somewhere else and not keeping it inside your downloads file, okay? Just in case you clean that up regularly. Anyway, so you go to Edit, and you go to Preferences, and you click on Install, okay? and you go to wherever you downloaded this zip file, okay? In my case, I've placed it here, okay? You can put it anywhere, just make sure that yeah, it doesn't move around. And you can actually double click on this, okay? I already have mine installed, so it's not going to change anything for me. But make sure that you're going to see something that looks like this, okay? If things worked out. And this has to be checked, okay? So once this is done, you can actually close this, and you should be able to see this. And that's pretty much it. So I hope this helped.